ever talk about this?
Not really, kind of.
And so my question to you is, why does poverty, this is also in your, you should have already done this in your homework, it was the second part of 43. Why does poverty often correlate with high population growth? And before you say education, let me remind you that most people who have a baby know how it got there. I don't think it takes a lot of education to know that.
Yeah, that's not educating. Being occupied, like in school, you're just not having sex if you're in school.
Ah, so that's actually might be different.
It is different.
Yeah. Because it's not that you're getting education in that sense, but when people can be locked up in some pursuit, it's not education about sex, but it's an educational system.
Because like there are more opportunities in other countries, so you have like long-term goals that you want to complete before you spend your life having children.
Right. And so rather than call it education, we should call it opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah. Other things to keep you busy. So sure, that's one of them. What that creates is what's called an earlier age of first childbearing. I've got 5 things on the list, but that's number 1 on my list. Early age of first childbearing. Remember, it doesn't have to be education in particular. In many parts of Asia, education systems didn't really speed up that much. They just found a lot of jobs in manufacturing, and those were not educational opportunities, but they were employment opportunities, so it's something to do. Age of first childbearing. What else?
One reason is poorer families will have a lot of children so they can fall back, like a social security, fall back on letting kids to take care of them when they're older rather than rely on 1 or 2.
Yeah, and there's actually 2 separate factors. One is a lesser cultural issue, another one's on my list of 5.
Also, if you're doing
Let me finish this one up and I'll come back to this. There's something called the labor effect. That's one of the 5. If you have a farm, or if you need people to help you get scrap metal, more children is more laborers to make more things you can monetize and get food. So the labor effect is one of the 5. In poor countries, you often just need more people to help you do the sustenance for your family.
I was just giving an example as one reason that they would want to have a lot of children.
Correct. The lesser issue is called the caretaker effect. The idea that you have no social safety net to fall back on, so you need children to take care of you. But that's actually kind of cultural. That's not as strongly correlated to poverty level as the labor effect. The labor effect goes way up in poor countries. The caretaker effect is actually common in some first world nations too, like Japan. India is not first world yet, but it'll always be a factor, I think, in their culture. Argentina and Mexico seem to have a pretty high caretaker effect. Everybody wants to have at least a couple of kids that can help them out. Yeah, so the sustenance issue, absolutely. And it's not just for agriculture. What if picking up garbage is your sustenance for your family? Yeah. Yep. So we've got number 1 and number 5. What else? Other reasons that poor countries have more babies.
Well, like some countries in Africa, it's like they have a lot of kids, and they say they're hoping that one of them will make it fairly well and be able to support the rest of the family.
Okay, this is another one of these. I believe you're saying the high death rates necessitate high birth rates?
Yeah.
Hoping that one of them will be able to make it?
Yeah.
The thing I have to remind you, though, I've never met any parent who strategically plans on having a couple extra kids just in case a few others die.
Yeah.
I should say this very differently, and you should be careful how you explain this issue. It's true, high death rates mean you have to have a lot of babies, high birth rates. But that's not mom and dad sitting around a table like, you think 5 is enough, or you think 6 is safer?
Yeah.
Are we going to lose 3 or are we going to lose 4? Let's play it safe. That's it. I'm really worried about the climate change thing. Let's make it.
Yeah, it's not like they're planning for their children to die.
Right, right. What I should say is that in many societies, there is no concept of birth control Because you didn't need a lot of birth control. Because historically and culturally, everybody has a lot of children. There's no overpopulation because everybody's also dying left and right. It's not an equation in family planning. It's that the whole concept of family planning is out. Because your full biotic potential is just exactly the replacement rate. You understand what I'm saying by this? So we've got three of them. Disenfranchisement of women is definitely one of them. Given the choice, there's very few women that want many children. It's really interesting. Like, if you just poll women worldwide, most of them, like, if you just say, look, if it's just up to you, no culture, no grandma, grandpa, no husband's opinion, what do you want? Most women don't want a lot of kids.
But at the same time, a lot of those women are in cultures where their opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. There's just, unfortunately, many places where nobody's asking their opinion. That's right. So we had female disenfranchisement, age of first childbearing, high death rates require high birth rates, the labor effect, and number 5, very basic practical issue, does not affect most of you, I'm guessing. Limited access to medicine. Like, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I'm sure you've all heard that birth control is pretty readily available. If you can't get it for free, you can go to the liquor store. You can probably buy some birth control at the hardware store. Yeah, okay, maybe I'll skip that. I'll skip that. Anyway. There are lesser issues, like the caretaker effect. Some people have suggested that poor people are more likely to be very religious, but I actually dispute that. So, like, religious fundamentalism, I'm not sure that poor people are more religiously fundamental in their family planning than non-poor people. Okay. Anybody else want to talk about this poverty thing?
Yeah, you listed out, you said like 1, 2, 3, 4, you listed them.
Female disenfranchisement, access to medicine, first childbearing age, high death rate, high birth rate, labor effect.
Thank you.
Alright. What I really want to spend some time on today is this, number 45, which we've been talking about for a while. This has come up many times by now. But you may have noticed that I've made my drawing more complicated today. I want to clarify how we make this transition from a poor country to a rich country. And let me remind you that there's no easy formula. If anybody knew how to do this, we would all have done this. So just to be clear, none of you can take this class and then go and cure the world's poverty. There's a lot of details and complications when I say, like, building an education system. That's actually not that easy.
It's just a trend.
Yeah, take my word for it. I work in education. Okay. Yeah, you silly poor people. Why can't you just educate yourself? Yeah, right. Limit on the teacher. That's right. Okay. Let's start all the way on the left in the third world. How do you know you're in the third world? You're flying from one beautiful location to another, and your plane explodes, and you wake up on the ground, and you're like, hey, I'm in the third world. Because what do you see when you fall out of the plane that you know you're in the third world?
Brown people.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, people of color is a pretty good guess in this world. But I don't want to go with that. That's too cynical, and that's not actually a description of the third world. Yeah, so you would say very minimal architecture. But, no, hold on, there were very good ideas here. You're all right. But first of all, why aren't there big buildings? Like, why can't these poor countries in the third world build big buildings? Like, there's much more fundamental issues.
Because people don't know how to build buildings.
No, the largest wealth disparity on earth is in this country.
Yeah, I know, but it's like much more pronounced because there's far fewer wealthy people and far more poor people.
I'm not convinced that that's correct. Wealth is
There doesn't exist a middle class percent or whatever.
maybe, but there's way easier ways to know you're in the third world before you start doing head counts and asking people where they fit in their economic ladders. Yeah. Yeah, well,
Infrastructure.
yeah, infrastructure is a really obvious one. In the third world,
Oh, also, if you're talking about ages, probably very few old people and a lot of young people.
yeah, that's great too. So first of all, infrastructure. You know you're in the third world because there's very few roads. They're not going to be super paved. Like, I'll tell you one thing. If you're on a highway that has painted lanes, reflectors, those metal guardrails, and lighting, you can only be in one of 4 countries.
Or even which four?
Yeah, Germany, UK, United States, a couple others.
Oh wow.
I'm sure that there are little spots.
I know, yeah, there's plenty of European countries.
Anybody else? Point being, there are many places, for example, in Mexico, where you will have little guardrails and lighting and painted lanes on a highway, like right when you get to the airport or something, but not throughout most of Mexico. And by the way, Mexico's not that far off, and I might be slightly exaggerating about 4 countries, but I'm going to say majority of highways with like painted lanes and little bumpers and shoulders and lighting, like nice highways, very, very few. And before we start quibbling about how many, everybody who had an idea was only talking about the blue countries anyway. So my point stands. You know you're in a poor country because there's little infrastructure, but it's not just the highways.
Hospitals.
Harbors, docks, trains, airports, dams, plumbing.
The kind of stuff that should be government funded.
Infrastructure, what government usually pays for. Delivery of water, delivery of goods and services throughout your land.
Not just in the case of the country, but not that much money.
How else do you know you're in a third world country?
I don't know if this counts as pollution.
Well, like, I'm not sure. I think street trash, like crap in the street, might be more common in poor countries, but the volume of pollution is the greatest in first world countries.
Because I went to Guatemala, so the first thing I noticed,
Right.
when we were in Guatemala City, and the pollution that the cars are small trucks, and it's super hard to breathe.
Right. But I'll bet you money.
Like that.
I'll bet you money.
No, how much?
Am irate. I really like conversation. It's just pointless to make noise on top of other people making noise. Nobody benefits. It's just making noise. Get a bunch of kazoos, those little things you spin around, you pull, go outside and make noise. Make all the noise you want. Run around and scream like a baby. That'd be great. Where were we? Yeah, my hunch is that per capita, first world nations are much dirtier. The type of pollution you notice is an infrastructure issue. Like there isn't like trash pickup door to door and stuff. But pollution is usually an artifact of your consumer throughput. So your places that are most undeveloped, like you go to the middle of nowhere sub-Saharan village that has no roads, no electricity, no plumbing, and there's nothing to pollute. Like the pollution is an artifact of development. Some places just haven't figured out how to handle the pollution yet while they're getting the cars. Like if you say that their cars are dirty, I'm like, yeah, you might not be talking about the third world, because you're talking about cars in cities. Like if the trash is packaging from food, that's plenty of food. That's not the third world. Yeah.
Maybe like civil war.
Yeah, instability, weak governance. How else do you know you're in the third world? There's one thing nobody's mentioned yet. I'm surprised.
More subsistence agriculture than big industrial agriculture.
Probably.
More than in the developed world.
Yeah, right.
Just less industrialization.
industrialization in general, that's what I was about to say. Sure, it's more specific to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.